Welcome to our next episode of No Blueprint. I have actually a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you want to be called Kevin, Mayor Phillips, Mayor Kevin Phillips? I'm keeping all this, by the way.
Okay, no, Kevin. Kevin is totally fine. Yes.
Okay,
Kevin is
awesome.
good. Yes,
All right.
that's
I have Kevin. I'm going to let him tell his bio because obviously he's the mayor of Port Royal if you live under a rock or maybe outside of the Beaufort area. But I just want to hear a little bit more about Kevin, about you as a whole.
So real quick, Kevin is from Snowville, Georgia. It's in Gwinnett County. It's the east side of Atlanta. I say Snowville, people go where? I just say the suburbs of Atlanta. So grew up. It was great. Had a nice childhood, church, little league baseball, school, all the good things. That was my parents still live out there. I've still got a lot of family that lives over in the Georgia area. Actually, this next year will be the Phillips family. I think the 117th family reunion that they have, the third Sunday in every July. So after that, like I said, just grew up there. After high school, was in high school, played sports. After high school, though, as I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit, I was in a band for a little while. I had some. Just so happened some really great musicians were in my neighborhood. They just lived around me, and we literally were a garage band like that. And I look back, and I'm so thankful to their parents because I couldn't imagine coming home from work and then your son and his friends are in the garage just
I was just thinking about how did the neighbors enjoy it?
I don't know. They didn't say anything, but so was in a band actually, heavy metal kind of hardcore rock and roll band.
What was your?
I was the singer, lead singer. Oh, absolutely, yeah. It was fun. It was
Screamo.
It was a blast. We called it hooting and hollering. Okay, yeah, because but it was loud. A lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, heavy stuff. But it was a really good time. We called it Southern hardcore, like Southern rock, but it was like kind of our version of Southern rock.
Love that.
And so did that right after high school. Did that for many years. Moved out to California, lived out there for a while. Went on tour, toured the country for many years, played shows in every state, and that was a lot of fun. We can talk about that a little more later, about that experience. So then that ends. Rock and roll band basically had this big, blow up fight. We're done, and then the band was just over. And so at that point,
how old were you at this point?
24, 25-ish. At that point, went out and started just working, getting jobs. Started working construction, landscaping. Got into food and beverage, really loved food and beverage, was bartending in Atlanta, had a great time, and then ultimately decided that I wanted to go to college. And so went to college, went to the College of Charleston. Well, first I moved to South Carolina, had some friends that were in Charleston and knew of Charleston being from the South. And so I went there, did a year at TCL so I could get in-state tuition, saved a lot of money doing that.
Super smart.
It was huge. In-state tuition was like $6,000 a year. I think out of state was like 30. So
yeah, you're like, I can pause.
Yeah, I went to TCL, did the 1 year of all your
Core.
Yep, exactly, the 101s, knocked all those out, and then went over and did the College of Charleston. Was a communication major. Had a great time there. Had a lot of great experiences that when I look back have led me to where I am now. After that, I knew I wanted to be an attorney. I just always thought that would be a job that would be interesting to me. Actually, in middle school, we did a play, To Kill a Mockingbird. I actually played, Addison in it. And so I was just kind of always thought that would be something that I would be interested in, be good at, and really enjoy and have a passion for. So once I got to college, I knew law school was next. Went to Charleston School of Law because I got some really good advice from an attorney that said that, he was like, unless you have some sort of legacy or family or connection after you graduate, it's good to go to law school where you plan on practicing because everybody are going to be your colleagues. Those are going to be the future judges in that area. Those are going to be the people So unless you've got a plan for after law school, which I didn't, I don't have attorneys in my family. I'm like the first one to ever do that. Again, my family's in Georgia. So I was like, I need to stay local. I need to stay around here. So I went to the Charleston School of Law, graduated from there. While I was in law school, I started visiting Beaufort a little bit, came down here and just like that cliche, fell in love with the area. And so when I graduated, decided to move down here. I came down here, didn't have, a plan really, didn't have any, it wasn't like I had a job set up or anything like that. I just was called and I just followed that and came here and doors have just kind of opened up since I've been here. I did the Leadership Beaufort program through the chamber really soon when I landed in Beaufort. Because when I got here, I'm in Port Royal now, but my first house was in Beaufort. I lived over on Green Street, right by Washington Park. That was my first house I rented, and then after that lease, I quickly moved over to Port Royal. And but so then, like I said, just landed here, started working here. I've met my boss, Bennett Schiller, through being, I was on the board of the YMCA. He was the chairman of the board at the time. And we really just hit it off. We have a lot of the same ideas about attorneys and law firms, and how we look at it as not just a job, like it is a job of service, and that should continue outside of your 9 to 5. Like attorneys should be involved in their communities. We believe they should be giving back. They should be volunteering. And so me and him we just have a lot of the same core beliefs.
Yeah.
And so, lo and behold, I never knew I'd be working for him, but he offered me a job, and that was in May. It'll be 5 years ago. And so been working for the Schiller and Hamilton. We're a personal injury law firm. When I was living in Port Royal with my wife, Ginny, a girlfriend at the time, I started going to Port Royal council meetings. This is back in 2018, 2019. Decided to run for town council in 2019, was on council for 4 years. And then in 2023, ran for mayor. And the end of this year will be 2 years as mayor. Ginny and I have 2 daughters now, 2 under 2. And when you look back, it is just a crazy ride.
That's awesome.
It is a crazy ride. When I put it all together and look back, I'm always just like,
I was about to say, you're like, it's never linear, right? Until you start looking back and you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you always know that, public service was a calling, or is it when you got involved with the law firm, or you went to city council and you saw a gap, or culmination of those things? What was it?
I think it's all of that stuff. I grew up in a house that was very community oriented. My parents are not in politics at all, but my mom runs a Bible study, women's Bible study out of the house every Tuesday night. My dad is little league, he was an educator, so he was always at school, and he was coaching, volunteering. We went to church. The church was always volunteering, always giving back. We were always doing something sort of service oriented, like outside of the home. So I grew up in that world where that's what you do. And then also too, when I was at the College of Charleston, Mike Seekings, who was a council member in Charleston, he came into a class one time and asked, I need some volunteers. He just needed people to go knock on doors. And so I raised my hand. I always encourage, especially when people are younger, like say yes, volunteer, like just say yes. It wasn't paid. It wasn't anything like that. But I got to walk around beautiful neighborhoods in Charleston with this man who was from Charleston, had been on council for like over 10 years, and just listen to him, learn from him. And then I started going to those council meetings in Charleston, and that's when I just really saw the importance of local government. A lot of people, they want to, you watch TV, you see the CNNs, the Fox News, the MSNBCs, it gets you all fired up and riled up. And people forget that like there's also a state government, and then there's a county government, and then there's also a municipality if you live in a municipality. And the more localized you get in those, the more it actually affects your day-to-day life. I mean, you're talking about at the county and municipal level, you're talking about your school system, your police department, your fire department, your roads, your trash pickup, your utilities, the zoning, building codes, all of that. The things that you see day to day are happening at your county and municipal level. And so I just saw that was very important. Wanted to be involved in that. And I really, again, I love just being able to represent people and help people. And I feel like at the level of municipality, you really get to do that, because you see them at the grocery store, you see people at the restaurant. They'll bring up stuff when I'm out, and I'll be like, oh, let me look into that. And I'm able to look into that, and I'm able to like help them out, and I'm able to connect some dots for people. And that, I don't know, I think it's just really cool.
Are you ever in the grocery store with like sunglasses and a hat?
Sometimes, the hoodie.
That's awesome. I definitely want to come back to this, but I want to jump back actually to the earlier years. I didn't know, I'm going to call it gap years that you did in between high school and college. Did you know that you wanted to go to college, or just curious on that?
Yeah. So I always enjoyed school. I always have enjoyed education, learning, and so that was never a thing. I just also believed that when I was growing up, people was like, you can do anything you want. And I believed them. And so, I went to a concert one time when I was 15 years old, and I didn't foresee this happening. It was Limp Bizkit and Stained in Atlanta. This was before they were really big. We were at this place called the International Ballroom. It was a warehouse. It was in July. I'm 15 years old with my other little knucklehead friends. And I watched this concert, and that was my first time going to something like that. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, this is so much fun. And there was just this, rowdiness to it that, like, a 15-year-old boy was just like, this is great. I mean, mosh pits, crowd surfing, there's girls there. I was just like, this is amazing. Like, this is so much fun. This is amazing. I was like, I want to do this. And so, and literally that's just, seizing opportunities. There just happened to be some kids in the neighborhood that had guitars and had drums. I'm not musically inclined at all, but I was like, I can jump around and, I can
find my space.
I can act a fool on stage. You know what I'm saying? If you give me a microphone, I'll do something entertaining. But I had some really talented artists around me that were able to make music that people wanted to listen to. And so, we worked really hard, and you get rewarded. People started coming to shows, and we were like, oh, okay, this is like a thing. And then we got offers from like record labels, and it was like, oh, this is like a thing. And then we got to go on tour and be in the studio, and it was like, okay, we're like doing this. So because it was always progressing, it was always kind of fun, and there was always the next step.
It wasn't staying stagnant.
Yeah, exactly. We're starting out in the garage, and then we're going to play parties, and then we're going to play clubs in Atlanta. Then we're going to move to California. Then we're going to get this record deal. Then we're going to go into the studio. We're going to make an album. Then we're going to go on tour. And then we've got another tour. And it was always building. And so it was always exciting. There was always something new to do. And that, so I did not foresee that coming when I was younger. And like I said, I didn't grow up in a musical household. I'm not musically talented at all. And so I just literally just circumstance and seizing opportunity.
I was about to say, it sounds like you're a person that, like, when you see an opportunity, you're willing to go after it. Would you consider yourself not risk averse, or?
No, I'm not. I am not risk adverse. I mean, that changes as I've gotten older, now with some children and stuff, but still very, I do believe and see America as the land of opportunity. I really do think, that this country is amazing. There is opportunity around every corner. It's 2025, from just the access that we all have to information, communication, the technologies that we all have access to, the cost of travel, really, you know what I'm saying? If you think about that in historical terms, like what we have now, what we have at the hands of, at our fingertips, you really can do anything you want to do. You just got to do it.
And that's the thing, what I've noticed with so many people, or especially younger generation as well, is that it's almost sometimes too much information, where it's analysis paralysis. And I come from a small town in Georgia. I know when we met, we talked about this, and I went to UGA for college, and I wanted something bigger and grander, and just to kind of experience and get out there. And I don't know, I'm to your point, when I look back at my trajectory in New York, San Francisco, out of the country for a year and a half, I'm just like, holy crap, like
it's
that
awesome.
was wild and crazy, but like seize those opportunities, and it, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't do probably many of those things. And one thing to kind of touch on it, I'm going to call it a gap year or something like that. I wish, and this is my just personal opinion now, but I really wish that people did that more here in the US. I think people international, like we ended up randomly hosting someone from Brazil in high school. Like he was actually staying with another family, and I played soccer with him, and that situation wasn't going well. And he just showed up to the soccer field with a suitcase and asked if he could move in that day. And we like took him in, and now he's like a brother to me.
That's awesome.
But I know I think maybe one or both of the Obama girls did like a gap year or something like that, which I think is
I think
amazing.
It's great. I was old, I didn't take a gap year. I took a gap, 6 years. And so, but when I went back to college, I was a lot more focused. Like
100%.
I was there to learn and get this done. Like I wasn't just there like, what are we doing? Like I was there, had a purpose, and it created some challenges. Sometimes you when you would be in school and you were a little older, sometimes there was just a little bit like, oh, like, I'm in this room with like all these 19-year-olds and I'm, 25,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, hi, how are you kids doing? Like, but, but I was there. I knew what I was there to do. I was here to graduate. I wanted to get this education. I wanted to learn this. I knew I had where I was headed, and this was part of the process. I wanted to go to law school. To go to law school, you got to graduate from college. If I'm here and I'm paying for it, I'm going to do the best I can. And so I did approach college very differently, having that time off.
100%. Well, it sounds like you had some good life experiences. So even though you weren't 18, 19 going into college, you had some good life experiences along the way.
Yes, absolutely. No, very true.
Do you recommend, so you had your few years of life experiences before undergrad, but do you recommend people, if they do undergrad, doing some life experience after college before going to like a grad school program or law school or anything like that?
I think so.
Yeah,
I really think so because, like academics is important, and academics is, very, very important, but it's not, it's not real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's
book smart
and street smart.
Yeah.
And there's, there's theology, and then there's practicality. And so it's good you need to learn, and you need to read, and you need to better yourself. But at the same time, you also just need to know people and how the world kind of works. And you need to experience people, and you need to experience different types of people and different types of places. I think when you do that, it makes the education more fulfilling because it makes it broader, because it's not just this idea in this book. You see how this idea now applies to all these different circumstances. So having those life experiences really makes the education more fruitful,
Yeah. What kind of student were you in? I know you said it sounded like you came in with a different
one. I was very good. I even in high school, I didn't I was, I mean, always, I really enjoyed, like I said, I've always enjoyed education and just learning. And so, I mean, I'm sure if you talk to some teachers, I was probably a little class clown and probably too loud sometimes and spoke up, and, pretty social guy. And so that probably,
that's a natural,
rubs some teachers the wrong way. They're like, this kid won't shut up, but never mischievous, never just getting in trouble to get in trouble. And that guy, so.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're very dedicated, you're a high achiever and all these things. To kind of go a different direction, what's like an area or something that maybe you've struggled in at a time that you had to overcome, or maybe you're still working on something?
I mean, no blueprint. Something, sometimes it can be if you really are following a goal and a dream and you're walking in your own path, that can be lonely. When you're trying to do something that's kind of outside of the box, whether that's being a band or whatever it is, not a lot of people can relate to that. And so you just have to figure out things. You have to be okay with being by yourself sometimes, and I'm a very social person. So like that, sometimes I can, there's not a lot of, when I look at my like life path, I'm like, who can I go ask about this? Like there'll be, so were you ever in a band, and then you went to law school, and then you were mayor, and like, what I'm saying? So that sometimes is you just kind of, but I don't think that's particular to me. I think that's anyone that's trying to, pursue something, because once you know what you're going after or what you want to do, you have to do it really on your own. I mean,
100%.
You can pull, it takes a village, and you have a teammate, and you can have mentors, and you can have this, but at the end of the day, it's you and the person in the mirror, every day making that happen. And so sometimes, that's, like I said, not a struggle, but sometimes I just think about that.
And
does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm gonna say I relate to that in some ways because I'm very entrepreneurial, and so again, this is about you, so it's not about my path and stuff. But especially since I've gotten into real estate, which I think people want to say like, oh, you just open doors, and I'm just like, this is the most I've ever worked in my entire life, and I'm building a business from the ground up. And Allison my boss
Mm-hmm.
slash teammate.
Yeah.
Her and I kind of talk about it all the time because we have big ideas and
Mm-hmm.
grand things of how we want to approach things, and we just don't want to take the status quo.
Yeah.
And then our ideas, like we want to do like design homes, build
Yeah.
homes, like we want to you know get more involved with like government and see how
Mm-hmm.
we can work with zoning and see cool stuff that
Mm-hmm.
we can do, and not just get oh well, this is how things are done and just accept it at
Yeah.
that, you know what
Yeah.
I
Of
mean?
course.
And nothing bad on people and however
Yeah.
they want to live their lives and stuff, but it sounds like you want to break those barriers, and
Mm-hmm.
you maybe want to surround yourself with other people that maybe have a different mindset around those things. I think it's so hard when you're running your race, and
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes to kind of like slow down and then try to take a look around you and see
Mm-hmm.
who can you maybe have some camaraderie with
Yeah.
at the end
Yeah.
of the day,
Well, no, and you're right. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's on you. And so,
exactly.
you guys, you and your team are always. I mean, you can tell you guys are big thinkers and doers and achievers, and that's awesome. That's one of the reasons I was excited you were doing this and asked me to do it, because you can tell that about you and the people that are around you. And so, again, I don't mean that any kind of bad way that you're alone, but at the end of the day, it is on
Yeah.
you. And so, as
Well,
someone that is. I like my wife will tell you this, like I like feed off people, and what I'm saying,
yeah.
like their energy, like when we go to a party or a social thing, she's a little more introverted,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, you get around people and you like get jacked up, you know what I'm saying? Like I just like
Yeah.
people, I just love talking to them, I love hearing about them, learning from them. I learn, like I really do just enjoy that. And so, but then at the end of the day, it is just it's on
Yeah.
you.
All right, so how about this? When y'all come home, are you kind of like just exhausted and tired at that point, and it's like quiet time, or are you like still
Sometimes.
jacked up and your wife is like, chill out?
Yeah. Sometimes, it just depends on what's going on. Yeah, like it depends on where we went. If we left some political event, if we left some just a cocktail party, sometimes we'll do a little like play by play when we leave. Like, did you see that? Did you hear that? I heard that. Did you hear that? That was interesting, right? Yeah. It just
My partner's learned.
yeah.
He's like, okay, let's debrief.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see that? I saw that. Oh, okay, that was interesting. But no, but some nights, yes, especially once with the two girls and we get them down, and it is finally just like there is like a moment of like you just gotta like relax and take it in, and I think that's important too, because I want to always just I love the quote, and I've really gotten it now that especially with the kids, the the days are long but the years are fast, and I was like, that's so great, because like there's some days where you're just running around, I'm sure
Oh my
you're
God,
just
yeah.
like and it's crazy, but then all of a sudden you look back and you've been like, oh my God, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, the year's almost over, like where did that just go?
Mm-hmm.
And so I do always want to make sure I'm trying to be mindful of these moments and this craziness, because I love the chaos and I love the craziness.
Yep.
And like just recognize that when there's moments when I want to pull my hair out, that I'm just like, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is everything you've asked for. Everything that you've asked for is happening. Like, enjoy it. Like, just enjoy the crazy.
I was about to say, like, I love the chaos, and I think some people will see me. I'm gonna say get emotional is what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
But it's actually the emotion, whether I'm stressed, super excited. It's actually all very positive. I'm very excited for
exactly.
it all. If I had to sit with myself for too long, like you said, I'd be like, okay, what do I need to be doing
I can't
now?
do that. I can't do that too long. We got to be doing something. And there's so much to do. And I don't know, people, like I said, this place excites me. People excite me.
Yes.
Ideas excite me. The future excites me. And I just don't want to miss any of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny when we were talking about there's so much to do, especially around
Mm-hmm.
here. I think it's so funny when my friends that from when I lived in New York and San Francisco, and college friends that live in Atlanta and bigger cities, they're like, so what do you do there? I'm like, you may come into this town thinking it's small, but there's something happening around every corner, someone's house, it's some event that's happening.
Yep.
I'm like, once you actually live here and then you start to talk to people and get involved, there's something happening all the time.
We're not just sitting around like, just chewing hay on a bench somewhere for 9 hours. Like, I mean, you can do that if you want to. There's some beautiful views if you want to take
100%.
that in. But It's a very active place with lots going on. All you got to do is
Yeah.
just go get in it.
Yeah.
I've learned about this place too. There's a lot of nonprofits in this place. There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of groups in this community that are all about giving to. I tell people, whatever pulls at your heartstrings, I guarantee you there's an organization that does
Yep.
it and focuses on it, and they would love a volunteer. No one's ever said no to free help.
Yeah.
So show up, whatever it is that pulls. If it's elderly, children, women, men, whatever
Yeah.
that thing is that pulls at your heart, and you know what it is. There's a group for it.
Yep.
Go call them up and just show up, and you'll never know where that'll lead.
Yeah. Actually, that's a question I had for you. Do you have a favorite like event or organization that you're closely tied to? I know you don't want to seem biased, probably. So.
No, so well, I in Port Royal, well, one anything town of Port Royal related, of
Yeah.
course. I love Port Royal. I think Port Royal is such a cool and unique community. It's very just from its geography to its layout to its people to its history to its culture to the promise of its future. I think Port Royal is just really really cool. I mean, how often do you find towns that have mottos like "cool coastal, far from ordinary"? I mean, that's far from ordinary.
Yeah.
It's in the name, and so anything there. I am a little biased with the YMCA. I'm on the board of the YMCA. It's also in Port Royal.
I haven't seen you in some of the mornings.
I know. I was there. I was there this
Okay.
morning.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
I'm still going. Yeah,
All right.
this morning. But they just the YMCA. I tell people does so much as a whole. When you take it as a whole, it just really provides a place of community and family for a lot of people. I mean, from daycare to elderly. I mean, you walk in the door, you see there's little kids in the daycare center. Then you go over and there's senior citizens in the aquatics, hitting the ball back and forth. And that's all happening in the same space. And that's really cool. They do daycare throughout the day, basketball court, pool, indoor, outdoor, sauna, gym, spin classes, aerobic classes. On the weekends, they're open 7 days a week. Just as a whole, it's so much more than a gym.
100%. It's the most chaotic YMCA I've ever seen, and I say that in the best way possible. Yes, when you look at their class schedule, you're like, holy moly. And to your point, when you walk in, it feels like 10 different things are happening.
There's babies
in the
playing.
best. Yeah, exactly.
I walked in the other day, there were babies. They had bubble machine going. All the babies were running around. Then I said I went to the sauna and there, senior citizen class hitting the volleyball.
Love to see them jamming out
and jamming in the pool, doing a aerobic, and so like I said, and everything in between. And then you go to the gym and there's guys in there, getting their sweat on, and there's people on the ellipticals and the treadmills. And so I'm biased with them. I think they do a great job. I also any group that caters to the people in need, I think are really important. I think one thing like Help of Beaufort, I think is a great one. Also in Port Royal, you can see a theme here. But they just opened up a new building right there at Waddell and Rebo, and Lori and her team over there do an amazing job. One thing I always try to encourage people is we live in this beautiful place. You can get wrapped up in like how gorgeous it is, and you can go to certain neighborhoods and it's just $1 million homes,
right?
And it's home and gardening, it's the magazine, but there's still a lot of need here. There is a lot of people around here, that just struggling, and so I don't ever want I don't want them to just get lost in the help,
Gone with the Wind, Southern Charm,
the aesthetics of this place, because you can look at it and be like, wow, this is just gorgeous, but that doesn't mean there aren't families and children that are going hungry right now. There's people dealing with all kinds of issues across our county and in northern Beaufort County, and so any organization that's providing for the least of these, I think is really important, and it's something I want to try and support when I can.
100%. What about what's one of your favorite events of the year?
So the big ones, this isn't in Port Royal, but Water Festival every year is nuts and is awesome. And it's one of the reasons that I kind of ended up here. I came to a Water Festival years before I moved here. I was like, this is great. I mean, that organization, what they do is amazing. Beaufort Charities, their oyster roast, they basically throw a 2-day party over in Port Royal, which is awesome. I love that one. It's also right down the street from my house, so that's fun. Port Royal, I love our street music on Paris that we do, because that is just so community and chill. I mean, it's just nothing crazy. Grab a chair, come sit down, bring you a little snack, bottle of wine. We're going to provide some really good music for you live on the street. It's usually a beautiful night. And that one's just fun because it's just, like I said, it's just community, spending time together, listening to good live music, and just kind of chilling and hanging out together. Those Port Royal always, we started doing our Christmas parade is coming up, which is awesome. This Saturday will be our Christmas parade. That one is so much fun because the community really shows out for that.
Is that the golf cart one?
Yeah,
or
the golf cart parade. Yes, golf cart parade. So the golf carts will be lit up. We'll probably have anywhere from 50 to 100 golf carts. And then we always end down at Shell Ring, and Nick over there at Shell Ring does a great job with making it just like a little winter wonderland. There's been times after that parade where he's got like the fake snow machine going, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm in a Hallmark movie right now. Like I am, like there's golf carts lit up.
We do a scene with you and Jenny, and make a whole
people are dancing, and there's the river and the water, and then snow in the air. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is crazy. This is insane. This is beautiful. And thank God I get to be in it and be a part of it. But so those are a few of them. I could go on and on.
I know. I'm going to shout out actually Shell Ring, because I think that, and hopefully I'm going to send this to you, or you should send it to Nick, please, because I think it's one of the most underrated places for food.
Yeah.
I think their food menu is one of the best in Beaufort, and how it changes so often.
They got great chefs back there.
Oh, they do. So I always forget about it, and then when I go there, I'm like, to come here more often.
And they're always changing it up, which is great too.
Oh,
every week's a new menu.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so to kind of bring it to some fun stuff as well, what's a favorite date night spot for you?
So,
or should we plan one right now?
No. So Jenny and I, actually, we've got coming up. This will be, when will this air?
This week.
Okay, cool. So for Christmas, we're taking a day off from work and doing lunch, dinner, lunch, movie, and then a spa day. And then we're going to the Port Royal. There's a wellness center that just opened up in Port Royal. It's really cool space if anyone gets a chance to check it out. It's on 15th Street, 15th and Paris Avenue. So, I mean, we haven't done it since really the kids have been born, but just going to a movie.
Is that Corey's place, or his daughter's place?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
I thought so. Yeah,
exactly.
Amelia. Their daughter.
Yeah, Amelia. So and she's helped us set up this really great kind of like menu where we're going to go in and spend a few hours and like do a couple different things in there.
Okay.
So that'll be fun.
I'm not ruining any surprises about it.
No.
Okay. All right. Cool. No, exactly. All right. That's what you wanted to make sure.
I asked her. She knows it's coming, but so I just we don't do a lot of spa days, but I mean, really just going to see a movie. Yeah. I mean, that's a chance to slow it down.
100%.
Phones go off. Everything's done. You're quiet. You're in this place. You're watching something together. And even if it's not a movie, I mean, we've gone to a lot of plays at USCB.
Yes.
Something like that, where you just kind of get together and turn everything off and like enjoy something at the same time, and then you can talk about it later. And that's really, we enjoy doing that. So
awesome. All right, and you were a bartender at one point.
Oh yeah.
So was that? I think I read maybe at Panini's, or like, where were you bartending?
So I bartended at a couple of places. I never bartended at Panini's. I did work when I first moved here. I had taken the bar. But when you take the bar, you don't get your
it takes
for like 6 months. So there's like 6 months where you're kind of like, what am I? Do I need to restudy? Did I pass? Am I attorney? Am I not? You don't know what's going on. So I moved here, and I didn't have like I said, I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't know anybody, and so I did things that I knew how to do because I still had to pay rent. So I went and worked for the Greenery during the day. So I was doing landscaping during the day, and then I worked at Panini's at night. But I'd bartended a bunch back in Atlanta at different places. The Iberian Pig in Decatur was a really fun like craft cocktail place we did that I did for a couple years. And then I always loved F&B. I worked in F&B for probably 10 years all combined at different points in my life. I loved that job. I love that environment because it's chaos.
Yeah, I was just about to say, this fits your personality.
Yeah, it was so much fun. You're talking to people. You're having a good time with them. And I was also really lucky to work in great spots. I worked for great family-owned restaurants that had great menus. People were excited to be there. I worked at Hall's Chop House in Charleston when I was in college. That was an amazing job, and I loved F&B. ultimately, it was just that the hours. It's
Oh, 100%.
that was the thing that got to me after about 10 years in F&B. You're getting off work at 1 in the morning, and then you're probably going out till 2 in the morning.
It's a
And
whole
then
different life.
you're
Yeah,
reversed. You
100%.
work when everybody's
Yeah.
off. And
Mondays
when
and
you're
your day
young and
off.
single,
Yeah.
it was fun because you get off, and
Yeah.
we would go to the beach on Monday when everybody else was at work, or we
Yeah.
go, you go do stuff during the day so you basically had everywhere you went during the week was open because everyone else was at work. But then, you worked at nights, you worked the holidays, you
Yeah.
worked the weekends. And so after about 10 years altogether, I kind of hung up my F&B hat.
That was a good run.
It was. And like I said, I still tell people bartending was the most fun job
Yeah.
I've ever had.
So I was going to ask, what's your favorite maybe drink to make? And then what's maybe your favorite drink to have?
So favorite to make, just old fashions were always good, and you can make those kind of a couple different ways. And the thing I like when you make an old fashioned, like the guys that get old fashions, like love them.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll make a drink and people will just be like, "What is this?" And like they're trying it for the first time. You make an old fashioned, a good one, like you can just see the person be like, "Oh yeah," and so that's cool. You'd be like, "Got it." Favorite to drink? I don't know what's the weather like? What are we at dinner? What are we?
Got you. All right. That's fair.
Give me a scenario.
Let's say we're coming up Christmas, right? Y'all are gonna do a dinner of some sort.
Okay.
Like, so just imagine like a good Christmas dinner is kind of cold.
Oh well, if it's a cold dinner, probably a wine.
Okay.
I think Old Bull's Negroni is a great cocktail. I'll say that one. They do a really great Negroni there. I think that cocktail really encompasses like balance, like what balance should be in a cocktail, because it is three very different ingredients that when you put them together make this like delicious little combination. And so it's like, oh, that's like it. Literally, it is the definition of balanced cocktail to me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I love them there.
Yeah.
They've been there for forever. I feel like the bartenders.
Oh yeah.
So they're like a family over there and everything. Let me see here. I think. Oh, I'm gonna do this last question and then we'll wrap up. If you didn't become a lawyer, did you have a plan B?
No.
Fair. I like it.
I don't know. This will sound. I don't know how to say this, and I don't want to say it discouraging to anyone, but I mean, I've been very much about, and the way I've tried to live my life is like, if there's a goal, that is the goal.
100%.
And so whether that was be in a band, whether that was run for an office, whether that was get a certain job, even with, getting married and having children, like that was a goal, like whatever and I think when you focus on a goal, I think when you think about it, when you work towards it, you can really make anything happen. And so I really didn't, it was like, I'm going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I feel like you're also the type that just going towards the goal itself, and then if something made you take a left turn, then you just recognize that opportunity and move towards that, and
and sometimes
pivot as needed.
And there's nothing wrong with goals changing. I guess the answer to that question is I didn't have a plan B because my goal never changed.
Yes.
There
we go.
Like if something would have come into my life and been like, oh, because sometimes, I mean, a door opens, you meet a person, you meet something, and go, I'd never even thought of that. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm going that way now. And so, I'll say it like that. I never had a plan B because I never changed. The goal never changed.
So let's end it on this then. What's maybe a goal that you have? We can say over the next, if you want to say 2 to 5 years or 5 to 10, like what's a goal that you have in sight for maybe yourself or your family?
Yeah. So I've got 3. For my family, we want to continue to grow the family. We have 2 children now. Probably like to have more children, and continue to just raise them, love them, give them the best life that we can. That's with the family. Professionally, with my law firm, I'd like to see it grow as well too. We've got internal goals. I won't get into all of our KPIs and all of that, but I just want to continue to be the type of law firm that people. And in our field, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of commercials and billboards, and you get bombarded with attorneys. And we're in a very competitive space. I want Schiller and Hamilton to be a law firm locally that people know and trust and call because they know and trust, and not because they saw a commercial. They like, something happened to me, something happened to a family member of mine, I'm going to call those guys because I know them and I know that they do a good job and I know they're honest and hardworking guys. And then with the town of Port Royal, I want to see, and I really want to work on, the big things going on right now are the safe harbor development. That is going to be, so huge in the future of the town. And I want to make sure that we're just constantly keeping an eye on that ball, moving that ball down the field, but moving it down the field in a very, intentional way. Like we're not just progressing to progress. We're not just doing stuff to say, look what we did. We're doing stuff intentionally. We're doing stuff because it makes sense. We're doing stuff because we truly believe it's going to build the best future. Because that port development, I mean, it is the future. It will be such an important part of Port Royal's future. You're going to see, a marina where there's never been a marina. You're going to see commercial space where there's never been commercial space. You're going to see residential and people living where people have never lived before. I mean, all of these things are brand new. You're going to see a Spanish Moss Trail come through an area that's never been before. Yes. You're going to see so much that it's not a redevelopment. It is a brand new development that is going to have a lasting impact. And I also want to do it in a way that honors and respects the history of Port Royal. 100%. And because Port Royal is a really cool place, even without that development, and so, but that development is going to happen. So how do we, meld those together and really create a really bright future for that? And so that's going to take years. And so those are kind of and that's the things I look at my, I got my civic life, professional life, personal life. So that's kind of my 3 for those. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you. Sitting in the hot seat, no blueprint. Obviously, no blueprint, and I think it went pretty well.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks a lot, bro.
Appreciate you, man.